And we're live. Welcome to the next episode of Soc Talk, and we want to thank you for the overwhelming response of the previous episodes. And today I'm also joined by a very interesting guest who comes from the same city as I come from. So I'm joined by Stevie. He's been into music for the longest time, and he's also had his scene in the independent music scene in Chennai. And it's great to have you on the show, Stevie. So.
No problem. It's lovely to be here.
Yeah. So, Steve, why don't you tell our audience a little more about what you do? Because you've had multiple media features, and I was reading all of it today. Pretty impressive, and you also have a lot of music released. And I mean, it's not a small thing to do when you're still in the scene.
Yeah. Hi guys. Stevie. I am 23 years old. I am a singer-songwriter. I rap a bit, and that's my career choice, and it's been great so far. I've been playing. I've been in the scene for about 4 or 5 years now. Ever since I was in my sophomore year in college, and it's only the only way has been up, and I really can't complain about how it's been so far. I'm looking forward to how things are going to be after COVID situation settles down.
Yeah, and I mean, we're both from Chennai, and we kind of know how it is, how the music scene is in Chennai. I mean, at least as far
absolutely.
Yeah, I think as far as I know, a lot of musicians, I think they open up and step out of their comfort zone once they start going for open mics. At least that's how I started off. So how was your journey with open mics and gigs? And I think one breakthrough point for a lot of musicians is to be able to perform and unwind that they are. So that was also the first time I played along with my band there, and I think it only, like you said, it's only upwards from there. And I mean, it's a different scene in Chennai, and it's not like how it is in Bangalore or Delhi. So how was your music journey like?
Music's always been a part of my life, just growing up, because I was born into a family of musicians. My mom and dad, they were into the music college in Mylapore, and growing up, it always played a huge role. I grew up listening to all sorts of music, and growing up in a very Christian family, you could say that, it's all started out with church music, and then my mom was into Hindustani and classical. So I kind of had everything growing up. I kind of learned bits and pieces of music here and there. I never worked well under a tutor. Right from when I was small, I liked just learning things by myself. I just picked up music here and there. My dad taught me. My dad was into Western music. He was teaching Western music. I picked up the guitar and the keys from him. Even in school, it was when I was around 8-9 years old that I discovered Eminem on VH1, and I was like, what's that? Yeah, because I never really I was exposed to pop or mainstream music per se, or even film music, because we used to watch movies at home, Hollywood movies, but that was it. I never really found I never really paid attention to music at a very Hollywood music at a very young age. But growing up, there was VH1, and that kind of really turned the tables for me. I started listening to what Backstreet Boys, Akon, and pretty much every kid in the early 2000s had the same playlist.
Yeah,
and,
I think also with the scene with Hollywood movies are that you don't really pay attention to music, or there are barely any.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's only just background music, right? There are no songs how it works here in India. But I think it was in 6th standard. I don't think I've spoken about this particular story, but this was in 6th standard. I got an iPod Shuffle from my aunt, and I gave it to the senior of mine in school. I was in 6th standard, he was in 9th, and he just put he just put whatever songs he had. That was pretty much like every other kid in school. Everyone had the
Yeah.
same playlist.
Yeah, I think it all
And
started with the phase of having iPods, and then how every
yeah,
iPod
exactly,
evolved to
right?
the best one. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was when I think it was one of the first R&B songs that I'd heard in my life. It was Replay by Ayaz. I'm sure you would have. I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of people know that song.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, yo, what is this? Banging. And yeah, like from there on, like I just started listening to more. I discovered Rihanna and Usher and Chris Brown. Got influenced by them a lot. And yeah, I never really took. I mean, like I really liked singing and performing everywhere, like in school on annual days and stuff like that. But I never really took it really seriously till like college. I knew I always wanted to do music, but I also wanted to do something else on the side. Like I wanted to be like a lot of things. I just didn't really make up my mind on anything. But yeah, like I really just wanted to be a lot of things. At one point I wanted to be footballer, another point I wanted to play cricket, and another point I wanted to be an engineer. That was weird. And I ended up doing English literature at MCC, and it was just a lot of things. Like yeah, but yeah, like I kind of felt that like music was my forte, and like I really loved it the most. So I loved it the most, so I chose to pursue it. And MCC really gave me that outlet with like that whole environment was crazy. It was different from
I mean,
what I
college
experienced in
culture
school.
also a part of your music journey because
Yeah, most definitely.
yeah, I think
Yeah,
MCC is
yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah. College cultures, yeah, they really like kickstarted my career in a way, because first year I did nothing. I did absolutely jack shit, and I used to look up to all these bands. Like they play on big stages now. I'd be like, oh, that's super cool. Wish I could do that as well. But I didn't really know a lot of people my age who were into the kind of music that I wanted to do. But like at one point I did. That's when I got to meet a lot of bands, because we used to suck big time back then. We used to we started competing like first year, and that was a big deal, because like growing up, like it was a completely different environment for me, and I was like, oh shit, this is the real deal. And yeah, and things really started opening up in second year, when like I had this band called Pills and Blues. Like we did acoustic music, and we started winning a bunch of competitions here and in Bangalore, and the word kind of got out, and people started noticing me, and that's when I realized, okay, this kind of might work. So we started writing more, but like towards the end of second year, like the band just kind of fell apart, because like we just kind of fell out of interest in the style of music that we wanted to pursue. But we still remain like we still are like really good friends. So that didn't work out, and in my final year, it's a crazy story. So like we had to. MCC didn't have a college band that year. Every single year we had one. This is my final year. We didn't have a college band to represent college at CMC. CMC usually have this festival called Pegasus, where they have the battle of the bands there is pretty wild. A lot of the best South Indian college bands come and compete there. And so the college cultural convener, he was a friend of mine. He called me up one night, and he was like, hey bro, can you put together a band for this competition thingy? And without batting an eyelid, I just said okay. But like I had absolutely no clue. I just said okay. And I got a few friends. I knew a few friends who could play instruments, and I was like, okay, cool. I guess we can, just go out there and have fun. It's a free, all expenses paid trip, so why not? So these guys were like, okay, cool. So in that summer, I realized, like after this whole Pills and Blues band kind of disbanded, I realized I had to write music for myself. So I did. I started writing music for myself, and then like we formed this band in college, and we had. we didn't really think of winning or anything. We just wanted to compete, and it's super difficult for any band to just like get together and have a couple of jams and go out there and win. And we jammed a couple of times. I had written a couple of originals back then. We jammed one, and people already my friends already kind of knew how those songs went, so it wasn't really much of a big deal. We just jammed a couple of songs and we went to CMC, and we competed in acoustics first. It was a trio. We competed in acoustics, we lost that, and 2 days later was electrics. And by that time, we'd already spent all our money. And the second day they had this EDM night, and I made friends there. Those guys were like, "Yo, let's go!" And without even like thinking, we were like, "Okay, fuck it, why not?" Like we bought tickets. We just went for it. And final day, we have like $10 each. We have no money to go back home, and the only way to go back home is if we win it.
Okay.
And it was wild, really. And this is the final day, and MCC hadn't won anything. We usually win overalls everywhere.
Okay.
But that day we didn't win anything, absolutely. And this was the final event, and these guys were like, "Dude, we have to take back something. We need to have something to show." And we were like, "Lol," because we've only jammed twice, right? But like we had good chemistry, and we were like, "Okay, cool, let's just go have fun." And we went there, we performed, and like a couple of hours later, the results came in, and so we named ourselves Nobody, right? It started off as a joke.
Okay.
So we reached 2 days before the competition. We reached CMC around like 12:30 a.m. And they were registering, right? And they're like, "What's your band's name?" And the bassy Hudson, he's like, "I don't know, dude. What do we do?" And he goes, "Okay, we can name ourselves Nobody. So when we win, they'll be like, first place goes to Nobody." I'll be like, "Psych, catch you." And yeah, so it started off as a joke. I was like, "No way we're winning."
I mean, what
ended up
happened?
winning.
Did you guys win?
Yeah, we won first place.
Okay.
They were like, "First place goes to Nobody." They said. We were like, "What?" We were a little dazed, okay, because who's Nobody? And then we realized that it's us. And we're like, "Whoa, that's awesome." Yeah, so that's when it started. We won a total of 17 competitions that year. We won everywhere we went.
Alright.
Yeah, and we ended up playing a few shows, and Nobody is my other band. I'm still working on a lot of music with them, and you can check out music on Spotify as well.
Yeah.
And apart from that, that year I played quite a few shows as myself, and eventually so in 2018, year after I was done with my final year, like this was right after I was done with my final year, and I won the Best Young Indie Artist Award at the Radio City Freedom Awards in Mumbai. They flew me down there, and that's when I met my current manager. We were in the same hotel, and we already kind of knew each other on Instagram and Facebook, and he just replied to my story saying, "Hey dude, what's up?" We'd never met before, and he was like, where are you put up?" I was like, "Yeah, this hotel." And he was like, "You're same." And I was just like, "Lol, you have to help me out. I don't know Hindi. I don't know how to get around." And he was like, "Lol, same." And we just became friends that day. His band also won Best Metal Act or something.
Wow, okay.
And so the entire trip we never spoke about music. We would just like talk about memes, and like it was just like fun stuff. And he went back home and he heard my music, and he had this idea of starting a record label in 2018. It's kind of big now, and he wanted to sign me back then, and I was like, "Okay, cool, I'm down for it." And yeah, like ever since signed with Wolf Records, it's just been wild. Like we played so many shows, like headline college festivals, and it's been absolutely awesome. And that's the whole story. Like, yeah, I'm still working on a lot of music now with the whole COVID situation. There's a lot of time on my hands.
Yeah. That's really interesting to hear. How did the language factor play out for you? Because I think much later came in this whole separate events for Western musical or Indian instrumental. Much later.
Yeah.
So I think when I attended one college cultural event. I think
Okay.
it was probably school. Yeah, we didn't have any.
Yeah.
We didn't have any demarcation of whether it was a Western music event or an Indian event.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, the organizers were very, confidently. They told us you can do whatever you want. So we packed our bags and then we played Hotel California. We played ACDC
Classic.
and surprisingly enough, we were the only team that sang and performed in English, and
Okay.
evidently we didn't win. And I think that was my first exposure to how regional music, the factor of regional music, actually plays out, at least in a state like Tamil Nadu.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Totally. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, how was your experience with that? I mean, did you have the advantage of picking a Western event, or were you also like?
Yeah. In most cases, yeah, we did. I mean, in school, only a few school cultures had like a set Western event. It was mostly just like music.
Yeah.
That's it,
Yeah.
group music or stuff like that. But in college it was completely different because we had Western acoustics, Western electrics, light music, acoustics, light music, electrics. It was completely different, except like in a few colleges where like we just went there and like rocked it out, and it turned out to be light music, and we'd lose by default. So it was just one of those incidences. But like in most cases, I think like they've got like Western electrics. They've grouped it separately.
Yeah,
so
I think it's become more
I think it's a win.
for musicians now, because I think the
Yeah,
model, I think no one benefited from it. If it was like a really
absolutely.
Indian instrumentalist or a Western classical singer. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
we're changing for the better, so that's glad.
true. The community is growing in a way.
Yeah, and I mean, talking about your independent music scene that's been going on for quite some time, you
Yeah.
said you didn't work well with a tutor, right? I mean, so do you think people who've been training for a long time, or I think now there are also new colleges and universities that actually teach music or production.
Mhm.
I mean, there's KM Conservatory coming up now.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think it places a person in a better platform than you, or how does it work?
Definitely. I mean, like lots of people see the end goal is to learn music.
Yeah.
No matter what, like you can learn by yourself, you can learn under a tutor. It works different for different people. For me, it just turned out to be this way. But I feel like learning music is very important.
Yeah.
You'll need to know what you're doing, absolutely. So I feel like that plays a very important role in any musician's career. I mean, we're all constantly learning new things every day. Even me, even like an accomplished musician would be, would learn something new that that person didn't know before. So it's vast really, and the end goal is to just keep learning as you grow, and that's definitely going to help. And music colleges and all these music courses are very important. Even like me myself, growing up in school, we had like separate music classes, even if it was just like nursery rhymes or like anything for that matter. But that plays a very important role in instilling the importance of music in a child's life growing up. And I feel like it's very important for anybody to learn music.
Yeah, I mean, I think
if they want to pursue it.
Yeah, definitely. I think when I was under a tutor, I would actually hate practicing sheet music. I would hate it.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, but like, I mean, as you grow older and as you sort of enter and learn new things about music, I mean, you'll probably find yourself searching up on YouTube basics of sheet.
Yeah.
You'll probably go back to it.
True.
And I think that's
you learn the
about
importance
music.
of it, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely, for real. Yeah, completely agree with you.
Yeah. And And I think you can tell us actually how music sort of transcends the studio, and how music transcends a live concert at a gig, and how it actually plays a very, very important role for social change. And I mean, there are a lot of things you can think about. Last episode, we also spoke about how music is actually used in this in something called the Mozart theory or the Mozart effect.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, there was a media publish about you talking about the Jallikattu issue.
Well, music is, I mean, like, I think everybody knows it. It affects a lot of people in different ways. It puts in like lots of emotions you've never felt before. And it's not just, like performing or being in the studio, creating music. It's a different environment. Like, it's a different experience. Everything. Performing is completely different. Like, you feed off the audience, and it's just a feeling that you really can't explain. And studio time is very important to me as well. That's why you can grow as a musician in like multiple ways, more ways than one. And just apart from that, like, music can really be used as a powerful tool to bring upon change in society, or bring upon change in anybody or anything for that matter. And yeah, I think even like when the Jallikattu protests were happening in Chennai, you could see that, at the beach, you could see that there were a lot of people, playing music there, bringing about, positive messages and conveying something through music, because it's easier, right? Like, that's also like, that way music plays a very important role in bringing about change. And I went to the protest myself. So my favorite band is the 1975, and I was lucky enough to watch them live last year as well. And there's one track from their last album. It's called, so they have this song called the 1935 every single album, and it all sounds different, right? The last album had Greta Thunberg speak on climate change, and it was a very important message, because it still is a very important message. I mean, a lot of people know what she's been talking about, and and these guys, they played it worldwide. Every single show they play this, and they've got like millions of streams for it. So it's just one of those things where you can really bring upon positive change in people, and it's just for the better of the world, like for everybody for that matter.
I think with the Jallikattu,
so that definitely
I think the protests in Chennai, music was used as a tool for their own identity. They kept conveying the importance of Tamil culture through music played there. So I think music and identity just go hand in hand, and I think it's very inseparable. I think I also see that with me. So the music I play, and music I listen to, I think it's very, very closely related to my identity. And I mean, I'm assuming it's the same with you and most musicians, because I think, I mean, when a musician writes songs or when he writes music, he doesn't look at what sells, right? You don't think about what sells and then
absolutely. Most of my music is cathartic. I completely relate to what you're saying. It's very cathartic. Like, mostly I write about what I go through, my everyday experiences as a person, what I feel, scenarios I'm put in, and just things like that. And you're very right about how music and identity go well with each other. And it's just one of those things where you really start to find yourself as a person as well.
And I think Stevie, as a musician, you've been in the studio scene. I mean, you've recorded a lot of music as well as performing live. So I mean, what's the major difference between a studio recording and going live?
Okay, there are multiple differences really. Like, when you're performing, it's completely different. Like, you're just feeding off the audience, or you're just out there having fun. And it's the same with studio time, except that like, when you're in the studio, you start to learn new things, right? Like, you're working on your own music, and you're trying to make it better. When you're performing, it's it's the produced output of what you've recorded or what you've written. So like even like in some cases a song starts evolving, right? You keep performing, and like it, like every time something or the other might change or like might sound better, and you'd want to add it to the song. And every song for me like has evolved that way, most songs at least. And they just turn out to be better in the studio. Studio time is very important for me, and like that's why you really start to fine tune your songs, and you learn new things as well in the studio when you're working with a lot of musicians.
When you first buy a professional mic and you have a professional setup and then you hear your own music, it's
Exactly, right?
yeah, that's like step one to realizing all the flaws or places where you can improve. I mean, imagine like a studio setup, like you're going way ahead and sort of changing every minute flaw you think there is.
I still remember the first time I was put in a studio. So I think I was very small. This was like in like third standard. I went to school. I went to the school called MCC Campus School. It's inside MCC, and we had this album. We made this Christmas album. It was just like kids from school singing on the album, and it was called "Star, a Song of Child." And that was one of the first times that I was ever put in the studio, and like with all that fancy gear, and you being able to hear yourself on a condensed microphone. It was just unreal, and you just be like, whoa, you really sound like that. It's crazy. Yeah.
So you do have like a career in music, and we were going to talk about non-conventional careers. I mean, what else are you into? And for a musician like you, I mean, do you get enough time to sort of focus on other things? And so you can tell me a little bit more on that.
I mean, like so the thing is with me that I don't really write music all the time. I only ever write songs when I absolutely feel like it, because I don't like to force creativity on myself, because that usually ends up being bad or like something that I don't like. And so like I don't pressure myself that way. I don't think anybody should. Like you don't need to like pressure yourself to like complete a piece or a song or whatever that is. I think you just need to take your time with it. And I do practice music at home. Like I spend time on the guitar or on the keyboard, or like it's just one of those things where it's just become a part of my everyday life. I just do it. Like there's no particular schedule to it, but like I've got like everything in my room, so whatever, like whenever I feel like it, I just pick up something and start playing, which leaves me a lot of time at home, because I literally do nothing else. I just write content for a couple of hotels, but like I've completely given up on that because I want to focus more on my music. Before this whole COVID thing happened, I used to play tennis in the mornings, and I'd come back, and my mom would leave for school, my sister would leave for college, and I'd just be home chilling. Nice. So like I got myself an Xbox, started gaming. And like I just recently started a Twitch channel so I could stream. I play FIFA, and I've been finishing in the top 100 in the world on Xbox for the past 5 weeks now, like consecutively. And FIFA 21 season starts soon, like next month, and I'm really hoping to make a mark, or make a mark for myself in that field as well. So we'll see how that goes. I'm joining an esports team soon, so hopefully that works out well.
Yeah, I mean that's super impressive. I don't think I know anybody who's taking up professionally, but I mean I'm really glad. There are a lot of non-conventional careers coming up, and I think it's also time to stop calling it non-conventional.
Exactly, right, yeah.
Just saying that jack of all trades but master of none.
Master of none, yeah.
But someone once said that you can be a jack of all trades and you can be a master at least one, and I think that's
one, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's like most relevant for a lot of musicians out there. So yeah.
True, absolutely. See, any musician you come across in Chennai or like Bangalore, I don't know. In Bangalore, people, some musicians I know just do music, but if you come across people in Chennai, they're doing music, but they're engineers, or like they're writing content, or they're managing, they're entrepreneurs, or just things like that. You can never find, like, it's super hard to find someone who only calls themselves a musician. Yeah, I think you just gotta do what you love at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think
if you love everything, just do everything, then you can make time for them.
Yeah, I think you've given us like a lot of wonderful insights, and also really interesting college stories that a lot of us are still yet to face in college. So I think we're going to keep all that in mind, and loved your demonstration of how a studio actually improves a musician, because I think as far as a lot of musicians are concerned, there's a lot of fear and apprehension entering a studio and making a music.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that should break. And I think, yeah, it's been wonderful having you on the show, and thank you so much for being here.
It's been wonderful talking to you as well. Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in, everybody, and we'll see you guys again on the next episode.